What is happening, YouTube? Denny here, back at you again. We got an easy thing today here. I'm going to make a video. Actually, I got two things. First, we got a 2013 Jeep Compass here. It has a monstrous 2.0 liter engine in it. You know, the kind of when you snap the pedal down, it goes from 0 to 60 in like 12, 13 days. But anyways, we're going to be doing an outer tie rod end on it. And then I got to put sway bar bushings in it, which the sway bar bushings I'm not going to record because the simple fact, I don't have a lift, so I got to get the car up, and then I got to get under it, and there just ain't enough room for a camera under there, so that one I'm not going to record. But the tie rod end I am, so we could get started here. Let me get you in here. First, I took off the tire, which I don't think I have to explain to nobody how to take off a tire. Honestly, if I have to tell you how to take off a tire, I do not think you should be attempting to change a tie rod end. No, that's just my opinion, but once the tire's off, lock up the vehicle. Next, which is right here, we're going to be taking this nut off to get this tie rod end off. Let me grab some penetrating oil here, which I honestly don't think it'll do nothing, but we'll give her a shot. And this, I believe, is an 18 millimeter. I believe. Let me check and see here. Yes, sir, it shall be. It shall be an 18. Take our impact down here and get this broke loose. That baby was on there. Whew, she's a smoking. My compressor kicked on. Let's give it a minute for that to kick off here. And we'll continue. Alright, I have to go grab some wrenches here. Oh, that was a good one. Just a bit of advice. You guys have one of these creeper seats from Harbor Freight. Don't sit on the back of it very fast like I just did. You're going to wind up on the floor. First time that ever happened, but won't be the last. Next thing we do is we got to break loose this jam nut right here on the back of the tie rod. And now I have no idea what size it is. All I know is it's big. It's a big old nut. At least there ain't two of them, then we wouldn't have to break loose these nuts. Okay, let's see here. 23 is too big, so let's try 22. Which I do not have, guys. I do not have a 22. I thought I did. I thought I bought a 22. Maybe I didn't know. I might be laying behind the bench for all I know. Alright, let's try standard. Alright, 15/16 is too big. 7/8 will work. Just a trick. If you guys get into a position like this where you have wrenches that it's too big, little trick that you can do that I was taught years ago is take the wrench like this, and if it's too big, right where it goes on the nut, right here, slide a penny inside, or a nickel or a dime or a quarter, whatever it takes to take up that slack. Slide it in here and then put it on your nut with the coin inserted in it to take up the space. And it works. I mean, it's an old mechanics trick from years and years and years ago, and it does work. I've done it before. Like I said, I could have sworn I thought I had a 22 millimeter, but evidently I don't. All right, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna brush these threads down and try and get all the goop and gunk off them, so we can get this broke loose. Hopefully it comes loose easier than the tie rod end bolt. And you definitely want to take the jam nut loose before you take the tie rod end out. Because if you don't, your inner tie rod end is going to spin inside. It's going to spin inside the rack. And then it's just going to go around. Then you're going to have to put it back in the hole and put a nut on it to hold it still while you break that jam nut off. So the jam nut you definitely want to take off first. And this is driver side like any other thing. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Oh, and that come off. Broke loose pretty easy. Okay, now, before you take your tie rod end off, you could do two things. You've got to try and get it back in the same position it is. If not, then your front end alignment's going to be off. Now, a lot of people will count the threads. They'll mark it right there where it ends, and then take the tie rod end off and mark the threads, which that works. Or measure it, which I measure it. Now, it's not going to get you exact. It's not going to get you in there 100%, but it's going to get you close enough that you'll be able to drive it for a little while before you can get alignment done. I mean, it's not going to pull, it's not going to wear out your tire, it's going to be really super close. That's the way I always do it. I mean, it's just, everybody's different, everybody has their own ways. That's just the way I do it. And we're going to measure it from here, which it is 4 1/8. 4 1/8. Oh, let me get my finger out of there. Let's do it so it's right there, even. Actually 4, exactly 4 inches. Now, I'm also going to take a measurement from this boot. Set it against the boot, and we're going to go 6 7/8. Okay, 6 7/8 and 4. Let me mark that down so I don't forget it. Knowing me, I will. 4, we're going to mark it on our dry erase board. 6 7/8. That way I can look at it while I'm working on it and I can see it. Now comes the fun part. Getting the tie rod end broke loose and getting it out of here. I usually use a hammer. I have pickle forks. I have the pickle forks that go in an air hammer, and you could use air operated to get them off. But usually I just beat on them a couple of times and they fall out. If I run into trouble or don't want to come loose, then I'll resort to that stuff. Which I have a feeling this one's going to be a bugger. I just have that feeling. I mean, it's, man, it's bad. So, I try not to hit it on top, because sometimes if you do, it'll mushroom out the top and then it won't fit down through the hole. And then you got another problem. You either A, got to cut the tie rod end off up here, or file it down to get it out. So I always try beating on the side, and hopefully that'll break it loose. Well, let's find out. And there she goes. That easy. Broke loose. Done. Now all we got to do is unscrew it. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. I should have checked. Rookie mistake. I shouldn't have made, but I should have checked the new one to make sure it was the same before I take this one off. Oops, too late. This is toast. Definitely toast. But that's all there is to it. Done and off. That easy. Now sometimes you run into these where they're hard. I actually did '89 Dodge Neon, I think it was, or was it a '98? I think it was an '89 Neon SRT, and I had to change both of them, and man, were they golded on there. I couldn't get them off. The whole tie rod was spinning clean up inside the rack. I actually had to use a pipe wrench and put a pipe wrench on the tie rod, and so you could see here, there's flat spots. It's like an octagon for to put wrenches on or whatever to keep the whole thing from turning. And oh my God, was it horrible. I used a pipe wrench, and I had to use a pipe wrench on the tie rod end to get it off, and it just took forever until I finally got it off, and it was just, oh man, horrible, horrible. Alright, let me get these new parts. And we'll see. Another thing I don't ever do is put never sees or anti-seize on the threads of these. I know a lot of people do, and I don't see no way but backing itself off once you have the jam nut tightened, but I still don't ever want to take that chance. I just, as long as the threads ain't all boogered up or corroded real bad, like this one come right off real easy, I just put the new one on that way. Alright, let's make sure we got the right ones here. Right one. Right-handed thread. Looks to be about the same size. Huh. For once, I think AutoZone didn't screw up. And I ain't saying it's AutoZone themselves. The problem is they hire a bunch of young kids, and kids it's people that's never worked on a car in their life, and they're just going by what the computer says. What the computer says it takes, they give you, and a lot of times, anybody out there that's a mechanic knows sometimes you can't just go by a computer or what the book says. Sometimes stuff's different. You know, it's just stuff you can't control. Like my truck, for instance. Passenger side axle's bad. I gotta change it. But my truck was ordered brand new with the heavy duty front axle. It is a 42 millimeter axle, not a 40. So if I was to go to AutoZone or Advance and say, hey, I need a passenger side axle for my truck, they're going to give me a 40 millimeter because that's what it calls for, and it's not going to work. It's going to be wrong. So I go to another place, by us, a local little business. They're a mechanic shop or auto parts shop dealer, and they know their stuff. They're good people. I go up there and I'll call them and say, hey, I need an axle for my truck. It's the heavy duty. It's a 42 millimeter. Blah blah blah. And they'll find it, and I'll have it. Never gotten the wrong part from them. They're awesome people, great to work with, and most of the time they're cheaper than Advanced or AutoZone. So I mean, just sometimes applications do not work. I mean, sometimes you got different things. This also comes greasable, so it has a grease fitting on it, which is great. And we'll spin her in here almost to the nut. Just make sure whatever you do not forget to tighten that jam nut. I think that's going to be close. Let's get it up in here. Let's see. Come on. See if I can turn the wheel a little bit. Oh. I gotta go in some. Wow. This thing is tight. There we go. Don't want it quite that far. Let's try it now. Oh. There we go. Now, they even give you a new nut. And this is the bad part, because what you got to do is put the nut on it and then measure it. And if it's not right, then you got to take it back out, wind it in or wind it out, a couple threads or however long. Oh. Yeah, that ain't even freaking close. Look at that. Look at the nut they give me. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Advanced or AutoZone. the nut that is in there falls right over it. Doesn't even fit. Look at that. Ain't even freaking close. Ah. Actually, I might have a new one over here. Let me look. I think actually that's the jam nut. I think they give you a new jam nut. I think they just forgot to put the new, maybe the new tie rod end nut in the pack. So that's what that looks like, is a new jam nut, which that one's still in good shape. It's a lot thicker than this one. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's like twice as thick as this nut. It's like about that thick. So I'm going to keep the original. It's a lot better. Let's see, this fit? Oh yeah, she does. How do you like that? We got lucky, guys. We got lucky. Okay, what was my measurements? 4 and 6 7/8. I think we might have it in too far, but let's take a look. Yeah, she's in a little too far. This tie rod end is different. Come on. It's actually right on with the boot. It's actually 6 7/8, but well, of course, if I get it in the right spot, let me try this. This will work. Then we'll be able to see. Yeah, she definitely got to come out. She definitely got to come out. I don't know if you guys can see here, but the wheel, the front wheel, it's actually this way, and the front is pointed to the front of the car, is pointed to the left. And I'm pretty sure this side isn't, this side's straight. So, and they're about the same length. Oh no, they're not. The new one's way longer. Oh yeah, it's about a 1/4 inch longer. That would be that problem. So let's get her out, and we're going to give her, we're going to say 1, 2 turns. That should do it. Well, we'll be close. Put her back up in there. Put the nut back on so it don't fall out. And we got to go, what I say, 4 inches. 4 inches. Ah, right on the money. Right on the money, man. 4 inches exactly. Yes, sir. 4 inches exactly. The wheel looks pretty straight. Let's see if we can do a measurement. We need to find something the same within, but I don't see nothing that I can measure this wheel off of. I got something stuck in my tooth, man. It just won't come out. Yeah, so looks pretty close. I measured it out, so let's see if it's still an 18 millimeter. Now, I won't tighten it with an impact. That I will not do. Because, I mean, I know a lot of guys do, but I just don't want to take the chance of tightening it too tight, strip the threads, or come to a thread that's boogered up on it that you don't see, and then the next thing you know, you're going to pass that boogered up thread and it won't tighten, or the whole thing just spins, and then you're in trouble. And I believe the torque on this, is 85 foot-pounds. I'm going to look that up here in a minute. Let me look that up, guys. I actually have the paper over here. And that it is 85 foot-pounds. So let's get our torque wrench here. We're going to get her up to 85. Okay, I'm having a hard time seeing here. There we go. Even with my readers on. Wrong socket, dum-dum. Get the right socket. You won't have a problem now, will you? Let me make sure I got this right. I can't see. Yeah. She's on 85. Okay. Just want to double check. Okay. There we go. Look, she clicked. Now we're going to have to take a little bit past to get for the, put the pin through. Just a smidgen more. There we go. We should be good. Should be able to get our pin through. Well, quarter key, whatever you want to call the damn thing. There we go. And turn around. Just like that. Brand new quarter key. Now let's tighten our jam nut. Don't want to forget that. Forget tightening that, and that could lead you to some problems. Okay. That is tight. Now we're going to try the grease fitting. Let me get a wrench, put the grease fitting in, and get my grease gun. I'm going to guess it's probably metric. Yep. That's what I figured. It's metric, so I gotta grab a metric wrench here. We're gonna try an 8mm. And that is it. It is an 8mm. Get our grease gun. Alrighty. We'll see if we can get this started in the bottom here. Usually these have the threads started. Some of them you gotta actually tap them yourself. So, and other ones they just don't like to cooperate. Like this one, it's not starting. There we go. Got it started. Let me look under here and find the, probably in you guys' way. I don't tighten these real tight, just a little bit past snug. That's all. If you tighten too tight, believe me, they are easy and you will snap them off. They are easy to snap off. And as far as greasing it, I just push